Hello, everyone. Before we get started today, I wanted to let you know, especially if you are one of my loyal listeners that is looking for a little bit more, I've created a paid subscription option for the podcast for 99 pence per month. On top of this being ad-free and just purely being the essence of the episodes, I will be doing bonus episodes, some personal update episodes, and we'll also include any information, invites into any virtual workshops or online things that I do in the future. So if you fancy it, check out the show notes below with the link and enjoy the show. Hello everyone. Quick one from me before we get started today. One of the reasons you might be listening to this podcast is because you feel slightly lost or a bit stuck in life right now. Over the last 18 months, I've been building a self-led ebook course for you based upon overcoming this feeling. It might be that you're frustrated that you're on this hedonic treadmill of life, despite the fact that you've been working on yourself for a while. And with the experience should come solutions. Or simply put, you're just not where you thought you'd be at this point of your life. And this makes you unhappy. Well, this is where it all changes for you. You take control of what you can whilst enjoying the inevitable ups and downs of life, with the peace of mind that you're doing everything you can to work towards what matters to you. I can remember feeling lost and stuck in jobs and with life in general. All the self-development content out there telling you how to become successful when all you really need to do is find out what success means to you. So, start with this course I've created for you, 30 days of you taking the time to focus on yourself. Not rushing, not living up to anyone else's expectations, just you getting closer to who you want to become and the life you want to live. Check it out in the show notes and enjoy the show. Hello everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Self-Improvement Project. If you are listening to this was recorded just a few hours before release, so you might have been part of this conversation just a few hours ago if you're listening to it just after midday GMT time on Monday. So I usually pre-plan quite a lot of them, but sometimes I like to do them a little bit closer to the time when inspiration strikes, as I'm sure that you guys are aware of. It has been so good to hear from so many of you recently. It is starting to feel like I've done this project for a significant amount of time now, and I've almost built up quite a bank almost of episodes that hopefully are timely and timeless for people. So hearing how it relates and resonates with people means a lot to me. So thank you if you have reached out to write to me about your story, your situation, things you've overcome as well. So thank you for that. Today's episode is called Pursue Struggle Forever. The idea for this came from the understanding of when we become a little bit more comfortable and we sometimes feel at a bit of a loose end for meaning, for potentially importance in our life. And as I've mentioned on other episodes before, where beyond education, there's no real official timeline for achievement. So if you manage to achieve things quickly and continue to do that and it never ends, there is an element of when you stop and you take your time over things, it can sometimes lead to a bit of existentialism. I like to think that we think of achievement as the end of a rainbow. When we reach something, we'll finally be happy. I'm sure you've all heard that before, but it's funny that we never seem to learn from this lesson. We always fall for the illusion of the horizon of eternal happiness when it's actually the thing that brings us the most emptiness. Let me give a bit of context for you. This comes from experience personally, as well as hearing from some of you who listen. And I'm going to use the example of exercise as one of these things. We strive for personal bests. We create ambitious programs to ultimately get us there. We then achieve it and then feel sad that it's over. We feel empty when it's over and when we're living presently. This is just one example. But when we look back at that experience, we always look back so fondly, so proudly. Look at how fit I was. I used to feel so good and so fit and healthy, even though you were probably a bit tired and had little injuries. And you instantly wish you were back in that moment again. This isn't to make you feel helpless, but this never ends. We will never learn whatever this lesson is around reaching something and having that happiness as a destination. There is good news though. I have a solution, and some of it is perspective and some of it is a plan. From perspective, it's worth looking at how, when we're in the midst of struggle, that we're probably not giving ourselves enough credit. You're probably doing a great job, even though it feels like a struggle and it feels painful. And you're probably also having more fun than you think. There's more enjoyment through that struggle, through that experience in the moment than you perhaps realise. And this is where it goes back to, you look back so fondly. That pain that you're currently feeling through that struggle that you're currently facing is actually a positive thing in the future. When you're in that moment, it may be nice to think how proud you'll be when you look back at this moment in the future. So that's my perspective. What about a plan? Well, I like to think it's quite simple. All we need to do is find struggle to pursue. Meaningful struggle. Struggle that is actually our own choice. Not struggle that is forced upon us or decided by anybody else. Struggle that you want. Even when you're not sure what it is, starting by finding something will lead you to more meaningful things, more things that take up your interest and curiosity at that time in your life. It's ultimately what makes life worth living. It's what grows us. We feel like we need to be experts when we pursue these struggles, but it's actually the opposite. We need to have that novice mindset. We need to embrace being a novice to get that pure joy out of the struggle. It's funny because perhaps recently over the last few years I've realised that as humans we don't desire complete tensionless or tensionlessness, and we don't desire complete pleasure. We become bored, we could become depressed, we have lower self-worth and self-esteem. What we actually need is challenge, a little bit of stretch, for what matters to us. It's actually what we're really good at rising to and meeting the needs of for ourselves. You can categorize this into physical struggle, like I used with the exercise, perhaps career struggle, perhaps emotional, social, or intellectual struggle. We need it in order to evolve, in order to live a life worth living for ourselves. So you might be in the midst of struggle just now, and that's where your perspective is going to be so important. You're probably having more fun. You're probably doing better than you think. However, you might be on the cusp of struggle, or you might be looking for struggle. And that's where it's important to think, what is it that you need? Not that could be anybody could do it. It needs to be for you. What in your life do you need right now that is a struggle that is worth pursuing, that is going to give you such gratification at the end of reaching it and look back so proudly upon? And that's us today. There's probably a million different other thoughts about how important struggle and pursuing that can be, and maybe that's for another time. But I hope you enjoyed that. And as always, if you have any thoughts, please write to me, or feel free to join the Sunday emails. I'm really enjoying the long form side of things. And I'll see you all next time. Cheers. Hey guys, me again. I hope you enjoyed that episode. And if you're not ready for the Becoming Unstuck in 30 Days self-led course quite yet, why don't you try my free ebook I created? 5 simple steps to improve yourself and your life. I made this during the very first lockdown of the pandemic, in the early days of the self-improvement project. It's a quick go-to when you're feeling unsure what to work on when improving yourself or your lifestyle. And the great starting point if you're trying to figure out how to live a more fulfilling and simple life. The link for this will be in the show notes for you. Have a good one.